Hello and welcome to Around the Hoop, the Westwood basketball show. I'm your host, Mike Gay, and today we have a special MIAA playoff edition of Around the Hoop. I'll be joined by Steve St. Martin, the boys' head coach, and then we'll have the Conlin Health Care Player profile, where 4 seniors will join us in studio. So welcome, Steve St. Martin.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here.
And congratulations on what was an up and down season, but boy, oh boy, did you guys come through in the last couple of weeks.
Right. It was very interesting. Very interesting.
To that point, let's rewind the clock to the 13th of February. Tuesday, you're facing 3 remaining Tri-Valley League large games. You have to win all 3 of them. You haven't won 3 games in a row against any teams this past season.
Right.
So your back was very much against the wall. So walk the viewers through that stretch.
Well, there's 2 ways you can get into the tournament. The first is you're 500 above overall record. Okay, we had a couple of big games coming up with Bridgewater Raynham and our own Riley Classic tournament with a couple of Division I teams. So we knew we could win out. We had to win the rest of those games in order to get in. The other way you can get in is you can finish first or second in your league. So we had the 3 TVL games, and we knew that if we could win those 3 games in a row, that would open the door for us to qualify for the state tournament. So we had the 3 games, unfortunately, were in 4 nights. So we actually played 6 games in 8 nights, and it just was a lot of adversity thrown at us at once. Which you mentioned, not winning the 3 games in a row. It was tough. It was a tough up and down season. And but the guys came through at the end. I mean, credit to them being able to execute and play as well as they did for us to be able to get those wins.
Yeah. So, did any of those particular games stand out? Were there moments where it might have been the seniors, might have been some of the underclassmen really had to step up? And were the fact that you played those 3 games in 4 nights, was that actually a positive because you didn't have time to really think about it?
Well, to your first question, different people stepped up a lot. James McGowan led us in scoring all those games, finishing Friday night with 29 against Holliston. So that was fantastic on his part. Pat Riley stepped up and led us in scoring 1 game with 19. Reed Wilson had a big game in the second half against Holliston after he suffered an eye injury. So everybody contributed. Even what people don't understand is when you watch a game or you see the stats come out, there are a lot of things that happen to prepare for that. There are guys that don't play a lot this year, but everybody participates in the practices. So if you have guys that aren't pushing other guys or aren't willing to work hard in practice, then how do you get better? So everybody kind of plays a role in those things, including the coaching staff with the scouting and all those things that we tend to do to prepare ourselves as best as possible. So for the first point, I mean, certain people statistically stood out, but again, everybody participates in those things. We've also been having to do this without two captains. I mean, Owen Gaffney and Nick Anderson were hurt for a large part of the back end of the season, so guys have had to play with this situation, and guys have had to step up and play in big roles. So everybody kind of participated in that. And the second part is, I mean, it can sometimes, you just play, you don't think about too much what you have to do. The hurting part with that, playing so many games in a row, is your preparation. It's not like football, we have 1 game in a week. Now you're talking about 3 in 4 days. So how do every team does things differently. We spend a majority of the time, though, Mike, on what we do and how we defend certain things. So it really doesn't matter what type of offense teams run. We play a certain way and do certain things against all types of screens. So whatever we see, we should be in the right spots. It's just making sure that we're disciplined enough to do so.
Yep. So again, after those 3 straight wins, you're now faced with the Riley Classic.
Right.
You're the tournament that has just been a phenomenal success here in Westwood, both the boys and girls programs. So you invited 3 Division I teams.
Correct.
And again, we've talked about this in previous episodes where elevating your game against the best in the state will prepare you for things like the MIAA tournament.
Correct.
So walk us through the Riley Classic.
Sure. We started with on our side with Shrewsbury High School, which is in the Central Division I Central. They needed to win both games to get in. A very talented team playing a really tough league. And again, here's where scouting is funny. When we went to see them, they played all zone the entire time. When they played us, they played a man entirely. And it's funny, the coach I played against in college, he was at Stonehill when I was at Assumption. And we were talking about it. He came to the Holliston game and scouted us and saw, James McGowan had such a great game that he devised his whole game plan around stopping James. And we had them in the fourth. We were up. It's just we couldn't do enough to maintain the lead, and they ended up hitting some big shots and making some better plays than we did in winning that game. On the other side of that, it was Severian versus Braintree. Again, two solid teams that you're not going to see in our league. Mm-hmm. So we ended up playing Severian, and Severian needed both games to get in, and they ended up losing. And we beat them in the last game. So it was good. It was you're going against situations and plays that you normally don't see, and you're going against a quality Division I teams provide a lot more, athleticism and skill, and especially schools that, like a Severian or a Bridgewater Raynham, that has like a school choice that they can get players from different towns. So it's for us, it's always about like preparing us to be the best we can be, and why not play against teams that are fantastic to do so.
Yeah, you've often said that here in Westwood we don't recruit.
Right.
But when you play against teams that actually can recruit,
correct,
it does tend to bring out the best in you.
Right.
So that's great. So again, 3 straight TVL large wins. You dropped the first of 2 in the Riley Classic. You win against a tough Zavarian team. So 4 out of the last 5 games. So now let's transition. The announcement came out late last week that you made the tournament and you're going to play Walpole.
Right.
So talk about that matchup,
sure,
and then talk about the tournament in general.
So the first thing that we did, obviously we've scouted them. They were in our December tournament, and the first thing we did though on Friday morning before the seedings came out, we had a general idea of where we would lie. We scrimmaged Boston Latin, which is another Division I team, and they provided us with a lot of different looks, but very gritty and tough teams, similar to the way Walpole is. Walpole plays in a very tough league. The Bay State League is a basketball league. It's a lot of Division I teams and powerhouses like Newton North, Braintree, Natick. It's been much better this year. Wellesley has always traditionally been a good team, and so on and so on. So we figured that the best way to prepare is to find a team that's, if not as talented, more talented and very physical and gritty like they are, and that's what we scrimmaged Boston Latin for. And then we did, we saw Walpole play over the break just to get our final live scout, and just preparing practice-wise for a game plan to put together in order to be successful for ourselves. So it's Walpole's going to come in. They're well coached. The gentleman who's the coach now was in the Franklin system, which Franklin's been very successful. They went to Division I state championship last year. Yep. They're the #1 team in the Central right now, looking to win again. So he's bringing a lot of what they're successfully running over, and again, he has them playing very, very hard. So we have to match that intensity.
How much help did you get from your brother? Some of the individual players scouting.
Yeah, right. And also Coach Harris, Coach Mike Harris is on our staff too. So we've seen them live and they give you some info, but it's different when it's a year removed, because you don't know it's a different system they're in, and there's a couple of different players that didn't play last year. So it doesn't really help you a lot. You have to see it yourself, and then also you have to actually play it because teams put in different game plans. Like again, I go back to the Shrewsbury thing. We saw them; they played all zone and they played all man against us. So that's just the way it goes. There
you go. So that game actually is being played on Tuesday, the 27th of February. Mm-hmm. I believe this will air after that. Mm-hmm. So those of you who are wondering what happened, you can go check out the score on Max Prep or one of the different sites. So Walpole has always been a great game. It's
Right.
hosted here in Westwood. I remember some phenomenal, game-ending, heartbreaking losses and some
Right.
great wins.
Right.
So I know that that's going to be a packed gym. You've done a lot of prep, and you've kind of walked us through that leading up to this game. If you're fortunate enough to get by Walpole, the bracket has you playing Tech Boston.
Right.
#1 seed in Division II South.
Right.
How do you scout a team that you may or may not have already seen, but that isn't playing in the tournament? So normally you'd send Pat Harris out to do some advanced scouting.
Right.
But in this case, they're not playing, so you just got to, where do you bank on?
So, I mean, similar to the way teams scout us, all of our games are on the Westwood Media Center site, so they can go watch without having to do any film exchange or see us live. Most coaches still like to do it live just because you get a better feel. So we've watched them against Brighton in the city championships. They won the city championships against Brighton, and we've seen them play a couple of times earlier in the year as well. They played in a tournament with Bridgewater Raynham against King Philip, and also against Bridgewater Raynham. So again, you talk to different coaches who've seen them, the matchups. But as the year goes on, teams develop an identity and a different. I mean, for example, if you saw us at the beginning of the year to the last week, we're a different team as guys have developed and people have developed. So you try to take as much information as you can from all your sources and figure out the best game plan you can come up with, knowing that in the game you're going to have to make some major adjustments. Yeah. So there's ideas that we have, thoughts that you've been floating around, because if we're lucky enough to win, we play Thursday, so that gives us one day to put your game plan together. Again, it's not like football where you have a whole week, you know what I mean? So we have a short window of time to put stuff in. So as a coaching staff, you're balancing preparing for this game and the potential next games, but keeping your players focused on just this one in front of us, because it's a one and done. There's no, you can't get to the second game if you don't win the first.
Absolutely.
So a lot of our energy has been focused on doing the stuff at Walpole first.
Yeah. So what we plan on doing is, obviously this is a special edition of Around the Hoop. We will have a final wrap-up edition where you can talk about your players in general, but talk a little bit about some of the seniors. Mm-hmm. And again, that this is a one and done.
Right.
This potentially could be the last time that your seniors play basketball for Westwood High School.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this first off, Mike. Like, the MIA, there's a lot of things that I disagree with what they do. The state tournament for basketball is fantastic. It's the closest thing you're going to get to like a March Madness type atmosphere you watch on television. The great thing is the amount of former players that send messages. My phone has been blowing up the last 2 days, which is good luck and great to see. I hope to see the game, and players who are in college are going to follow it on Twitter, and because they know, and a lot of them have talked about that. Nick Kennedy, for example, texted this morning, was just like, this is the best time of the year. I hope the guys enjoy this, because they went through it last year and the year before. Last year as a senior and the year before as a junior. And then there's other players like Joe Lally and Paul Calabrese and Danny Young, and guys that just always text you in general. And then with this time, it's very exciting. The beauty of the tournament is everybody comes out to see it. It's where you make your money, so to say. Like, this is where you can really develop a good legacy. And for myself, I never played for a town. Like, I was at Catholic Memorial, so I can't imagine how much pride it is wearing the uniform of the town you grew up in and playing in front of the town's people that know you and follow you. It's got to be an unbelievable feeling. So we tried to emphasize that with the seniors, that for this particular game too, this is the last game any of us this year is going to play on this court. I mean, at this time of year, you shouldn't have to need any extra motivation, but. And the other part we emphasize with the younger players is there's no guarantee that you're going to get back here. To do this episode is very fortunate. I always feel blessed anytime we can get near the tournament and get into it. We've been really lucky to do this now for 7 years in a row, okay? But at the beginning, it didn't look like it was going to be a possibility. So you don't take any of it for granted. You never sleep on it and think, we'll do this or that. That's why we spend so much time on preparation and trying to prepare them as much as possible, so you put players in the best positions to win.
That's great. Well, again, 7 straight years. You've been pretty blessed.
Pretty lucky.
So again,
Pretty
congratulations
lucky.
on a great season. Because again, we talked about what makes a great coach, and it isn't always the one who's undefeated. It's
Right.
dealing with adversity. You've had a tremendous amount of injuries that you've had to deal with throughout the season.
Right.
So you're peaking at the right time, and I expect some good things.
Me too. Thanks.
Congrats, Coach, and
Thank you very
we'll
much,
hopefully
Mike.
see you in the next edition.
That would be great.
You're running the table on your way to Springfield. So we'll be right back with the Conlin Health Care Player Spotlight. Welcome back to Around the Hoop. In the second segment, we're going to introduce the player profile, or should I say the Conlin Health Care Player Profile. So welcome, boys.
Hello.
First in the front row, we have Cam Markovsky. We have senior captain Reed Wilson. We have senior James Tavalone, and also senior Fawaz Ilupeju. So again, welcome, and you are on the cusp of the MIAA tournament.
Yep.
So we'll go around the horn, but again, you're seniors about to play your last game at Bader Gymnasium, Westwood High School.
Mm-hmm.
What does it all mean? We'll start with you, Cam.
So I think it means a lot just because we've put in so much work over the past 4 years, like grinding all off season, and then the practices, like we practice really hard, and we're in that gym like at least 2 hours a day during the season, maybe even more than that. So I think like boiling all that down, it means like going into that gym, you get like a feel just of like hard work and the dedication you've like put in throughout your 4 years at Westwood, and for it to be the last game, that is just like important to like make sure we like lay it on the line and play as hard as we can, try to get a win in front of our home crowd and like all of our classmates that'll be there. So I think it's definitely has an important place in all of our hearts, I'd say.
Awesome. We're going to go to the back. James, why don't you give your perspective on, again, this stretch, maybe even leading up to the game in your first playoff game, as well as the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd agree like exactly what Cam said. Like we've been putting in so much effort throughout the whole season and really throughout our whole careers. Like we've been playing for like a countless number of years all together. So this game means a lot, and I think we can win it tonight.
Awesome. Fawaz?
I haven't been here all 4 years, but like the 2 years that I have been here, like I really got a sense of the feeling of like all the hard work that we put in, and like really get to show in front of our like friends and for this last game.
Awesome. And then senior captain Reed Wilson.
I thought we all thought our last game was going to be Thursday, home against Hoptown a while back, and we got blessed with this gift to play a playoff game at home against a good team. It's always been a great game every time we played them. Tim with the buzzer beater, and then a couple years back in the playoffs with the
Not
charge.
so good. Not so good.
Yeah,
Not so good.
Controversial.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just surreal, and the gym means a lot to every one of us. I could put a lot of hard work into it. So.
That's great. So let's get to know you guys a little bit more. Give us some stories of your basketball journey. Could be WBA, could be AAU. We'll just anything you want to talk about here. The town of Westwood and pretty much the world. They're curious to know. We'll start with you, Reed.
I've been playing basketball since like 3rd grade. AAU since middle school. I didn't play my freshman year because I hurt my collarbone in football. But I was a part of the team. Like I was the manager for like the best team ever in Westwood history. I love the game. Like I put a lot of hours into it, so it's kind of crazy. It's coming to an end this year.
Great. Any non-basketball fun fact about yourself?
I'm a great artist. I'm Pablo Picasso.
Like seriously,
Yeah,
like that
I'm
good.
great, yeah.
Wow. The Westwood Media Center, we host local artists. So
Really?
this is
I might have to show
this
in
is your
here,
place.
yeah.
This is your place. Awesome. Fawaz, we'll take a step back here for you.
Yeah, I started playing basketball early, like 4th grade is when I really started. Then I played throughout middle school. Then middle school I transferred to boarding school in Virginia, and then I played like JV basketball there. And then junior year I decided to come back to Westwood, and then try out for the team, Boys Varsity that year. I've been playing here ever since.
Awesome. No, I remember the days of you playing WBA, and and then saying, "Where's Fawaz?" And there you go. So you just you put the pieces together for me. How about a non-basketball fun fact, other than again the transition out of Westwood?
I'm a very good rapper.
Okay, so we got an artist and a rapper.
Yep.
So I'm obviously the least talented out of the three of you. I'm hoping the two of you are a little bit less talented. So, and Fawaz, I'm not going to put you on the spot to do some freestyle. Well, maybe. I might not. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been playing basketball since like the 3rd grade, like Reed said. And I've played AAU. It's probably in middle school. And I went to a lot of camps over the summers with like St. Martin and also at Mass Premier. And one of the camps, Jared Dudley was there, and I got to get his like signature and meet him.
That's awesome. A lot of the Westwood players have gone to the Jared Dudley camp at Mass Premier, and I know my son, still has that picture with the autographed picture of Jared Dudley with him sitting next to him. So that's pretty cool. How about a non-basketball related fun fact?
Tony Hawk.
I like to sell shoes.
Sell shoes?
I sell them on eBay, yeah.
That's cool. I was talking to my family about that hobby and how it's absolutely huge.
It's blowing up.
Yeah.
The CEO of my company, he's 33 years old. He's worth a lot of money. He does the same thing. Loves shoes. Loves collecting them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he sells them as much. He might just buy them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's pretty cool. So now we're nowhere to go for art, for rap, and for cool sneakers. Nice. So Cam, finish this off.
Yeah, so same thing with me. I played basketball through Metro West with, I think, Reed and James. We were on the same team for a while, from like 3rd grade to like 8th grade. Also played AAU, like same stuff they've done. All the camps at like MPlex we've done with Coach St. Martin. That's like the Foundation for Success stuff, which is like with other teams as well. So it's always a good experience to play against like other varsity level like players. And
So basketball, we're going to transition from basketball now to the non-basketball fun fact. And there's a lot of pressure here because we've got 3 very cool things already covered.
Yeah, so me and Kurt are actually really good poets. We're really good at poetry.
Poetry?
Yeah, we write it.
You crush it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Do you work with Fawaz to incorporate your poetry into
I
his
haven't thought
rap?
about that, but I didn't know he was the rapper, so maybe we can.
There you go. And
team up
sometimes
together.
you take a nice poem and there's an accompanying piece of art.
Oh yeah.
So we put all this
I
together.
got it.
Cool. So again, it's great to get to know you guys a little bit better. Now the final question. The underclassmen on this team, we've got freshmen, we've got multiple sophomores, some juniors. They're all going to watch this episode. They're all potentially, should they make the team and have a nice run next year, going to be sitting in these chairs 1 year from now. What advice do you have for those underclassmen? Start with you.
All right, so I would say the most important thing is just don't underestimate how hard like winning is. Because before the season, I know, like we started off really poorly. We were like I think 4-10 at one point. And after all the talk we had all off season, like, oh, we're going to be so good, we all were talking about it, like, undefeated in the TVL, all that stuff. And then the season got here and we just didn't, I don't know if we didn't know how to win or, like, we just didn't, we didn't figure it out for a while. So I would just say don't underestimate how hard that is. Don't, think you're better than you are because, winning's really hard. And you get to see that when you're, a senior on a team that's, struggling. You can see how tough it is.
Yeah. Great advice. Reed?
Mine would just be, it's kind of cliche, but just don't take anything for granted. We had a kid, Dan Caspin, broke his femur, and he was out for the year. Like last year, Quinn had a concussion. He was out, couldn't play senior year. Some kids didn't make the team that made it last year, so it's kind of just work hard every day, live without regrets, just go 100% of the time.
Awesome. Fawaz?
Yeah, kind of the same message. Just make sure you're going hard as much as possible. Always going hard, because you never know what's gonna happen in the future. Might be your last game that you're playing.
Awesome. And James, finish us off.
Yeah, I would say the same thing all of them said, just go 100% and really work hard in the off season, because there's a lot of camps and clinics you can do with coach or even without him. So I'll just say take advantage of the off season.
That's great. Again, great to get to know all of you a little bit better. Looking forward to some phenomenal basketball still to be played again on Tuesday, the 27th of February your first round game against Walpole. If you're fortunate enough to win that, you come back in 2 nights and you play at Tech Boston.
Yep.
So and then from there, your path to Springfield gets a little bit more interesting. So good luck. Leave it all on the court. Don't play with regret. And again, congrats on a great season, great careers, and go Wolverines.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Good job. So thank you all for joining us on the special edition of Around the Hoop, the Westwood Basketball Show, the MIAA Playoff Edition. Want to give a very special thanks to Steve St. Martin for joining us before a very big game against Walpole, and then hopefully the beginning of a great run in the tournament. Also, huge shout out to the 4 seniors that joined us today. Markovsky, senior captain Reed Wilson. We had Fawaz Ilupeju, and we also had James Tavalone. So congratulations on the 4 of you in a great season, great careers here at Westwood, and the rest of the seniors and underclassmen that play for Westwood. Want to give a shout out to Westwood Media Center. Without Westwood Media Center, we wouldn't be bringing you this coverage or the coverage of the games. And also to Conlin Health Care. They stepped up and have sponsored both the boys and girls program for this season. So thank you, Conlin Health Care. Again, we will cover the final Around the Hoop. We'll wrap up both the boys and girls seasons. Hopefully that's not going to be for a while, and the boys go on a very good run here. We'll also be covering all of the tournament games for the boys. So if you haven't seen one of the tournament games, you can find it here on Westwood Media Center. So for everybody here at WMC, I'm Mike Gay saying, see you next time.